Believe me, I did a lot of research on it. And according to all the research, it was way worse than that.
No, there have been a lot of obstacles thrown in the way. You know, there's a lot of, what would you call it, poltergeist activity or something.
Hey VIPs and gossipers, Mel Gibson is making headlines again, and this time he is not backing down. The actor has been vocal about child trafficking, and he is now pointing fingers at some big names in Hollywood, alongside Jim Caviezel and Ashton Kutcher. Gibson isn't holding back after facing accusations from other elites. So what beans did he spill, and who exactly did he call out? Well, that's the juicy part. And to get the answers, stay tuned with us. But first, hit that subscribe button to never miss any of the drama. Now buckle up and get ready to see how this scandalous affair unfolds in Tinseltown. So we all know Mel Gibson is no stranger to controversy, and his past mistakes have been widely exposed to the world, from leaked tapes revealing his dark side as a controlling and violent husband, to drunken encounters where he expressed hatred towards Jewish people. Gibson's actions were heavily publicized. However, despite facing backlash, he remained active in Hollywood, and now he's back at the center of attention for a different reason, which is the release of a movie called Sound of Freedom. Gibson has been openly supportive of the film, going all out on social media to encourage people to see it. Interestingly, after the release of Sound of Freedom, an interview from 1998 resurfaced where Gibson discussed the evils of Hollywood. Although he doesn't explicitly link his statements to the themes of the film, some have connected the dots. Elijah Schaefer, a movie producer and host of the slightly offensive podcast, tweeted about the interview, suggesting that Gibson's support for Sound of Freedom might be related to his prior warnings about the dark side of Hollywood. In the edited clip from the interview, Gibson admits to having weird, paranoid suspicions about Hollywood. When he first arrived in the industry, he initially dismissed these thoughts as insane, but later, some of his worst fears were proven to be true. He talks about expecting betrayal in Hollywood, using a vivid metaphor of a knife going into his back. Further in the interview, Gibson shares a chilling encounter with a celebrity who he believed had a cold and unsettling presence, making him nervous. Though not initially named, he eventually reveals the celebrity as Chris Walken, jokingly referring to him as the Antichrist. Throughout the interview, Gibson's serious tone adds an eerie aura to his words. He hints at something dark lurking in Hollywood, and it's clear that he wants to expose it. Despite being associated with Sound of Freedom through promotional efforts on social media, Gibson's actual involvement in the film is uncertain. The resurfacing of this interview has captivated the online audience with millions of views on the tweeted clip. It's evident that Gibson's words have struck a chord with those intrigued by the mysterious side of Hollywood. The controversy surrounding Gibson has not dimmed his passion for promoting Sound of Freedom. The movie has a significant cause behind it. The concept is to shed light on the issue of human trafficking, which Gibson and others like Jim Caviezel and Ashton Kutcher have been vocal about in the past. While Gibson's history in Hollywood is marked by ups and downs, his dedication to the film and its message is apparent. Despite the challenges and controversies he has faced, he remains resilient and determined to make a positive impact in Tinseltown. Now, if you were missing the context of the movie, this blockbuster flick based on the real-life adventures of Tim Ballard, a former special agent for the Department of Homeland Security, has been making waves in theaters since July 4th. But it's not just an ordinary, action-packed blockbuster. It has been surrounded by a whirlwind of controversy and conspiracy theories, especially among the Hollywood elites who are trying to link it to QAnon and make it more controversial. So let's dive into why this movie is causing such a ruckus. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, hit that red subscribe button to join our daily gossip squad. You won't regret it. Roaring with impressive audience numbers, Sound of Freedom rocked its way to the top of the domestic box office charts, leaving Indiana Jones 5 and Insidious 5 in the dust. However, it's not the box office numbers that have everyone talking. It's the alleged bizarre experiences of moviegoers who claim they were forced out of their seats for mysterious reasons, and theaters turning off the air conditioning, making it feel like a real-life thriller unfolding before their eyes. The movie's plot revolves around Tim Ballard's noble mission to combat child sex trafficking worldwide and it's undoubtedly based on an intense and gripping true story. But here's where things get spicy. Some people in Hollywood have been trying to connect the film to the infamous QAnon conspiracy theory. For those not familiar with QAnon, it's a political conspiracy theory that revolves around dark and disturbing beliefs. According to the theory, there's a secret group of satanic, cannibalistic abusers running a child sex trafficking ring, and they allegedly conspired against former President Donald Trump during his time in office. Yes, it's as wild as it sounds. Hollywood moguls have been buzzing with claims that Sound of Freedom is somehow catering to QAnon supporters, making it QAnon adjacent. In other words, the movie supposedly has subtle connections and nods to the conspiracy theory. For the uninitiated, these references might go unnoticed, but die-hard QAnon followers seem to have found their way to the multiplex in droves. Amidst the swirling allegations and conspiracy talk, one person who has been caught up in the storm is none other than Mel Gibson. The actor has been a vocal supporter of the movie, which has reignited discussions about his own beliefs related to child trafficking. Gibson has had his fair share of scandals and controversies in the past, and his support for Sound of Freedom has only added fuel to the fiery gossip mill. In the past, actor and filmmaker Mel Gibson faced false claims when he was wrongly credited with making alarming statements about Hollywood elites drinking children's blood. These claims were debunked by a fact check conducted by Newsweek. According to the alleged comments, Gibson supposedly made these statements during an appearance on the UK program The Graham Norton Show. The quotes attributed to Gibson suggest that he accused Hollywood of being involved in institutionalized pedophilia and using and abusing children regularly. Additionally, he was reported to have claimed that certain elites in the entertainment industry believed in harvesting the energy of children through gruesome means, like consuming their blood and flesh, which they believed provided them with life force. The quote further claimed that Hollywood was deeply entangled in the suffering of innocent children, with references to pedophilia and cannibalism that were previously considered symbolic or abusive. Gibson supposedly mentioned that he personally encountered this practice in the early 2000s and hinted that those responsible for such actions had met their demise. However, later on, a representative for Gibson refuted these statements and denied any involvement in making such comments. Despite the rumors being debunked, some may argue that Gibson's support for Sound of Freedom, which tackles the issue of child trafficking, somehow connects back to these outlandish stories. In June, rumors began circulating that actor and filmmaker Mel Gibson was allegedly working on a 4-part docuseries focusing on the global child sex trafficking market, which is estimated to be worth a staggering $34 billion and involves various countries, including Ukraine. The news gained significant attention on social media, with a tweet about the project being viewed over 4 million times, catapulting Gibson to the trending topics list. The potential legitimacy of these claims was bolstered by Gibson's previous support for the anti-sex trafficking charity operation Underground Railroad, or OUR. Tim Ballard, the founder of OUR, had hinted in January that Gibson might be involved in his upcoming docuseries. Despite not being officially credited on IMDb, Ballard revealed that Gibson had taken over the final editing process for his movie, Sound of Freedom. During an event in Utah, Ballard disclosed that he approached Gibson for assistance because he wanted to film the documentary to raise awareness and garner support. Gibson readily agreed to help in the production of what initially was thought to be a documentary about Ukraine, but evolved into a 4-part docuseries that is now nearing completion. Ballard also shared that Ukrainian sources had provided him with a list of over 10,000 names of children who had been displaced by the ongoing war with Russia, and this made the gravity of child sex trafficking even more apparent. Ballard, a dedicated advocate against human trafficking, emphasized that this criminal enterprise generates a staggering $32 billion annually and stands as the fastest-growing criminal activity worldwide. By shedding light on the dark and disturbing reality of child sex trafficking through his docuseries, the hope is that public awareness will increase, leading to a stronger collective effort to combat and prevent this heinous crime. The news of Gibson's potential involvement in this project went viral, with many people applauding and encouraging him for taking a significant step towards exposing the perpetrators behind child trafficking. Notable figures, such as former Republican nominee for Arizona Governor Kari Lake, voiced support for Gibson's initiative, citing it as a fitting endeavor in line with his motivations. A picture of Lake with Gibson circulated on social media with her caption expressing sympathy for the tragedy at the border and the horrifying child trafficking problem. She openly applauded Gibson's commitment to this cause and offered her prayers and support for his efforts. The release of Sound of Freedom and Mel Gibson's endorsement of the movie has sparked increased vocal support from fans. One fan wrote, "Why do Democrats try so hard to convince you that human trafficking and pedophilia is not a problem? Why are they such enablers?" Others are thinking that this movie and Mel Gibson's voice against child trafficking will make a difference. What do you think? Let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe for more scandals like this, gossipers. See you on the next rumor.